Hello and happy holidays, everyone. Welcome to Fox 32's Year in Review. I'm Dawn Hasbrook. 2017 was a year where women took a stand on sexual harassment. Springfield lawmakers battled over a new budget, and Mother Nature put on a show in the sky. In this half hour, we look back at the stories that played out in Chicago and the suburbs. And we begin with Chicago's own President Barack Obama, who started the year by leaving the White House and then announced plans for his presidential center in his hometown. I got a chance to sit down with him right before he left office.
Hey, Dawn. How are you?
Great.
Nice to see you. Welcome to the White House.
Nice to see you.
Okay.
Hyde Parker to Kenwood.
There you go.
My one-on-one with the President of the United States, Barack Obama. The first order of business, his upcoming farewell address, and the violence plaguing our city. While you're in Chicago, what will your message be to Chicagoans who are desperately seeking your help with the violence and the murders, nearly 800 in 2016?
Well, look, this has been heartbreaking for us. Obviously, a lot of these killings are happening just a few miles from our house. And these are neighborhoods that I know, that I love. There are people, great people there that are feeling embattled. And so we've been trying, even from the federal level, to provide assistance to the city. I don't think that we're going to be able to reverse these things overnight. On the other hand, the fact that crime overall is much lower around the country than it was when I took office, and that Chicago is the one big city where you've seen this huge spike, means that there's something specifically that's happening there, and that means we can fix it if we work together.
Just days after his address, the Department of Justice is expected to release its report on the Chicago Police Department. So I asked him, what can he do with that information before he leaves office?
My expectation is that when the findings are released, that we can do a better job of bringing the police department and communities together. Where the police are aggressive in going after violent crime, but are respectful and are seeing the community as an ally. I will make sure that our Justice Department, for as long as we're here, is following up not just with identifying a problem, but more importantly, starting to find solutions.
But his work in the community will continue with the building of his library and presidential center in Jackson Park, he says, that he plans to use as a catalyst for change to the community surrounding it and beyond.
Chicago is this amazing laboratory for social change and progress. And what we want to do is, in a world-class city, have a world-class institution that is helping to train that next generation of leadership. So Michelle and I are very excited about doing the work. I'm going to be in Chicago a lot over the next couple of years.
Speaking of the First Lady, I asked, will the honey-do list return when his duties are no longer so presidential?
Keep in mind, I've got a honey-do list here. It's just not the same honey-do list that a lot of people. I do, but Michelle finds ways to keep me busy.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to walk Bo and Sonny, but whether Secret Service, because I'll still have some protection, how they feel about me just roaming around the park scooping the poop, I don't know. We'll have to check that out.
Before I left him, I asked him to look back and reflect on the most challenging days in the White House.
You identified
What did you turn to?
You identified a part of it, which is my family. I mean, Michelle is an amazing woman who's just been a foundation stone for me, somebody who is a friend and a great advisor. My daughters, who I am amazed by because they've handled this whole thing with such grace and poise. And we've just got wonderful friends and supporters who've been praying for us and thinking about us and encouraging us throughout this process. And finally, the American people. It's true that you get a lot of criticism, but every day I get 10 letters out of the 40,000 that are sent to me, and some of them are complaining, but a lot of them just say, thank you. We appreciate what you're doing. And it's a good reminder of why I got into this business in the first place.
2017 was the year of the silence breakers. Women from Hollywood to across America came forward to tell stories of sexual harassment and assault. Here's Fox 32's Elizabeth Matthews.
We are here to connect, to protect, and to activate.
Saturday morning, the crowd swelled in Grant Park as far as the eye could see, but an even more impressive visual was from above. A bird's eye view of the rally showed little space between the estimated 250,000 people in attendance, among them local politicians.
We need to make sure that our voices are heard. Today, we need to send a message to Washington, D.C. Do not mess with Chicago.
At 10 in the morning, tens of thousands descended on Chicago to rally with a message loud and clear to President Donald Trump. Rights for minorities and women must not be ignored.
Women are people. I've got my own body and I should be allowed to choose what happens to it.
And the things that we hold dear, like reproductive rights, like diversity, like equal pay, still need to be respected.
Following the rally, organizers were planning to march to Federal Plaza, but organizers canceled the march due to the massive turnout. But that didn't stop many in attendance. Demonstrators peacefully made their way through the loop, marching and chanting, like Stephanie Young, a Southside Charter School social worker.
These are both two movements, equality for all as well as the Black Lives Matter movement, that need to be spoken about. And I think a lot of people have kind of settled for the agree to disagree argument.
She marched alongside a friend from France.
It's so good of them to show to the world what they really think and what they really stand for.
It may not have gone as planned, but the Women's March on Chicago made a huge political statement, one even organizers couldn't predict.
Everyone here today answered the call to action. Answer it every time it comes in the months ahead. We will be challenged, but we will meet that challenge. We will win.
And Chicago found itself in the spotlight this year, but not always in a positive light. An incident on a United Airlines flight out of O'Hare had passengers around the world talking. And in an unusual case involving a party at a suburban hotel, gripped the nation.
We had a horrible failure 3 weeks ago. It is not who we are.
For 4 hours, United Airlines CEO Oscar Munoz and other airline executives fielded questions from the House Transportation Committee on everything from baggage fees to unruly passengers to frequent flyer plans. Munoz apologized repeatedly for United's role in dragging Dr. David Dow from Flight 3411 at O'Hare last month.
No customer, no individual should ever be treated the way Mr. Dow was, ever, and we understand that.
Committee members wondered how United's policies led to aviation security officers dragging Dr. Dow off the plane so an airline employee could have his seat. Dow suffered a broken nose and a concussion and lost a few teeth.
How did you make the decision that this gentleman should be the one to be removed from the plane? And he was traveling with his wife. So was she not a part of the equation?
One congressman, however, said Dr. Dow did bear some responsibility for what happened.
A grown man, assumedly sane, when approached by law enforcement on an aircraft, should abide by the request being made.
An American Airlines executive also apologized for a male flight attendant who verbally abused a female passenger and then got into an angry confrontation with another passenger who intervened. And many committee members, most of them frequent flyers themselves, told their own horror stories.
I've had the counter clerk be so hostile to the point where she says, "Don't ask me any more questions. I'm telling you everything I know."
United reached a settlement with Dr. Dow last week, but the terms of the settlement have not been revealed. The airline has promised to reduce overbooking. Southwest Airlines says it plans to eliminate overbooking altogether. Back to you.
Newly released evidence gives us the clearest picture yet of the developments immediately after Jenkins' disappearance and before her body was found in that hotel freezer. Jenkins was found inside the first floor freezer of the Crowne Plaza Hotel in September. As part of their reasoning for closing the case, Rosemont police say a safety release device inside the freezer was working properly. A new angle also shows her walking through the unused kitchen before her body was discovered. They also released pictures of Jenkins as she was found in the freezer missing a shoe. In those same photos, other parts of the teen's body are exposed as well. Police also released another video which shows the kitchen's layout through the use of a high-tech machine. And announcing the closure of the death investigation, police say there are no signs of foul play and no evidence Jenkins was forced to drink alcohol or take drugs. Now, while police are ruling Jenkins' death an accident, there is still an open investigation. They say they've interviewed 44 people and have done 5 photo lineups. The room was booked with a fraudulent credit card, and they're still looking for 2 people they believe used it. Dakari Turner, Fox 32 News.
And 2017 was full of taxing questions, but the big fight definitely had plenty of pop. That's coming up in our year in review. Taxes took center stage in 2017. A Cook County soda tax was in the spotlight, but the biggest fight over the biggest bucks was in Springfield, where Governor Rauner lost a 2-year budget battle. Here's political editor Mike Flannery.
Throughout the budget battle, Governor Rauner correctly pointed out that the Democrats who control the Illinois General Assembly had not approved a truly balanced budget in decades. But the first-term Republican governor himself has never proposed one either, adding a strange twist to Springfield's epic 2-year standoff.
Well, that's wrong. Our schools shouldn't be held hostage.
That 2 years of bitter stalemate suddenly ended last summer, when more than a dozen Republicans broke ranks with Governor Rauner and joined majority Democrats to override his veto of a state budget. It included an increase in the Illinois income tax.
We're going to have disaccreditation of our universities. Our bonds are going to default. We are going into free fall if we don't do this.
But Anderson's vote for the budget and its 32% state income tax increase generated blowback among Republican voters. Most of the 15 GOP state legislators who crossed over last July are now not running for re-election. Governor Rauner is on a promise to roll back the Illinois income tax from its current 4.95% to 3%. That is also what he promised to do 4 years ago. I'm political editor Mike Flannery, Fox 32 News. 6 county board commissioners who voted for the sweetened beverage tax a few months ago flip-flopped to repeal it by an overwhelming 15-2.
Great decision, great outcome, most importantly now for the citizens of Cook County.
Palos Park Republican Sean Morrison claimed the county could cut to make up for the $200 million. That's what the soda pop tax would have generated. Little Village's Chewy Garcia disagrees. He plans to propose other new taxes.
There's a host of things that we're dusting off that have been presented over the past 7 years, some new ideas. I don't want to start speculation on one of them. I think that we'll begin to hear about a variety of solutions in the next couple weeks.
While Garcia declined to be specific, when he ran for mayor 3 years ago, he proposed expanding the sales tax to cover services. And Garcia proposed raising the state income tax on high earners, with local governments getting more of that cash. Others believe the board will oppose any new tax increase.
I feel, as do my colleagues, that we will be able to find $200 million within a $5.5 billion budget.
We have a lean budget. We've lost over 5,300 people in the last 5 years who worked for the county.
Those who decided that sweetened beverage tax repeal was appropriate understood that that meant we'd be $200 million short in revenue. I presume that they have something in mind in terms of either alternate sources of revenue or cuts.
Later this month, you can personally tell the county board whether they should cut spending or impose another new tax. Public hearings on the county's 2018 budget will be held in Chicago and in at least 3 suburban locations. I'm political editor Mike Flannery, Fox 32 News.
"2017 saw the passing of celebrities like Tom Petty, Della Reese, and Mary Tyler Moore. But there was one man who started his empire right here in Chicago, the legendary Hugh Hefner.
This is Playboy's penthouse. Come on in and meet some of our guests.
From Chicago, Hugh Hefner introduced the world to Playboy.
Hefner put out his first magazine in 1953 from his Chicago kitchen table. His very first employee was Art Paul.
I'm still shocked that he died.
Paul was Playboy's art director and designed the iconic bunny logo in about an hour's time. Paul says Hefner had a near manic passion for innovation, and they changed the magazine world with groundbreaking design and writing.
It was a worldwide success. You'd go to Paris, you'd see all the issues of the magazine.
Sitting around a kitchen table here in Chicago with these dreams of this magazine and lifestyle, and now look what it's become.
Former bunny Candace Jordan was on the Playboy cover 8 times.
He was a gentleman. He was shy, actually. He had a brilliant sense of humor. He was obviously a genius. He was way ahead of his time. He was a rebel. He was a revolutionary.
Jordan believes Hefner should be remembered for far more than Playboy's naked photos. She says he was a champion of women's rights and civil rights who also revved up the sexual revolution.
He opened up sexuality for men and women with the magazine and the Playboy lifestyles, quote unquote. And so, I mean, he changed the world. He literally changed the world.
And Mother Nature gave us the good and the bad in 2017. Our state had a front row seat to an historic solar eclipse, while parts of our area were swallowed up by summer flooding. Here's Elizabeth Matthews.
I'm trying to remember that this too shall pass.
For the Statler family, it's been a whirlwind of a week. Their Round Lake Beach home ended up with 4 inches of sewage in the basement after the sewer lines couldn't handle the rainwater. They came out Thursday night to the Red Cross's Resource Center looking for help.
We have to tear out all the drywall or paneling or whatever and sanitize. And that's a whole other animal.
The rivers continue to rise. Because of the overnight storms, the Fox River reached a new record level along the Algonquin tailwater on Thursday.
Right when it starts going down, we got that rain last night, and here it is back up, and it came up a solid, I'd say 3 to 4 inches overnight.
This is his 3rd year of life on the Fox River, but his first real flood. Tyler Paulus continues his sandbagging efforts, hoping to protect his home for the next river crest.
Pretty intense. It's got me on my heels for sure.
The Fox River is expected to crest again early Friday morning at a record 13 feet in Algonquin. And with the flood waters near downtown, the annual summer festival, Founders Day, is moving to higher ground, away from this park and to Algonquin lakes. More rain is expected over the next few days, which could send the rivers even higher. But for now, residents will spend their hours cleaning up, accepting supplies, and a little advice.
One of these nice ladies, Sherry from Red Cross, told me, you have to remember to breathe.
Hours before the lunch hour eclipse began, thousands of Chicagoans turned out at the Adler Planetarium to grab a good spot for viewing.
I think, we're within 95% certainty that we are out of glasses. We've got them spread around, and it's a lot of people.
7th graders at St. Gabriel's School did not need special glasses. They made viewing devices out of shoe boxes and cereal boxes. As the celestial events began to unfold, office workers and shoppers in the Loop crowded onto street corners and plazas, like this one at Lake and Michigan. Cecilia Jones, a secretary from Des Plaines, took advantage of her lunch break to take it all in.
You really need to get out and see it. You can see it on television, but it's best if you saw it in person.
Viewers in the Loop had to deal not only with the weather, the skies were cloudy at times, but also with high-rise buildings that blocked viewing the sun for lengthy periods of time. But people who devoted an hour or more to seeing the eclipse seemed to get some pretty good looks.
It was amazing. We were sitting there since about 11:30ish, so we kind of watched it do the whole cycle, which was pretty unique.
The crowds here at Lake and Michigan dispersed fairly quickly after the eclipse peaked around 1:20 p.m., but some of the best viewing came in the hour after that.
We were a little concerned that there was going to be too overcast to see it, but the clouds parted and you were able to see everything just fine.
For history's sake, some viewers used their cell phones to take photographs of the eclipse, but much of the crowd seemed content to borrow somebody's viewing glasses and sneak a peek at the sun if Chicago's skyline didn't block their view. Larry Yellen, Fox 32 News.
And the Cubs made history in 2016, but the party continued into 2017. We check out their celebration at the White House coming up.
Happy holidays, Chicago, from your friends at Fox 32.
We all know the Cubs made history with their World Series win in 2016, but at the start of 2017, they reaped the rewards with a special trip to the White House. And for Sox fan President Obama, it was a bit of a tough pill to swallow. Here's Lou Canellis.
It was a bipartisan day here at the White House. The Ricketts family, the players, Joe Madden putting their political views aside. President Obama celebrating the Cubs despite reminding us all that he is loyal to his White Sox.
It is no secret that there's a certain South Side team that, has my loyalty. But FLOTUS is a lifelong Cubs fan. In the 8 years that I've been here, we've hosted at least 50 teams. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, you name it. Michelle has never come to a single event celebrating a champion until today.
President Obama was given a number of gifts. Anthony Rizzo sharing his number 44 jersey with the 44th president. And when he comes back to Chicago, the president will always have seats at Wrigley thanks to a lifetime pass. He was given a number 44 tile from the iconic Wrigley Field scoreboard, the W flag signed by the entire team. The Cubs hope will end up in the presidential library. And then Theo Epstein had one final offer for Obama, his final days in office.
With only a few days remaining in your tremendous presidency, we have taken the liberty here today of offering you a midnight pardon. For all your indiscretions as a baseball fan.
President Obama had the crowd going right from the start when he said Theo's job is to quench droughts. He was hoping that Theo would take the job as chairperson of the DNC, but Theo Epstein politely declined. Reporting from the White House with the Cubs, I'm Lou Canellis, Fox 32 News. Guys, back to you in Chicago.
And on that note, we end the Fox 32 Year in Review. Have a happy new year, and thank you to all of you for watching Fox 32.
Happy holidays, Chicago, from your friends at Fox 32.